Welcome back to another episode of Track at Lunch. Today I'm joined by Nolan Jez, our Virginia MileSplit webmaster. Nolan, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to get some lunch finally, take a break from work and eat.
That's right. This is the show where we sit around, eat food, and just shoot the breeze about what's going on in the track world. And there's a reason why Nolan's on today. We have the Virginia State Meet coming up. Nolan, before we get into that, I want to look just at Virginia as a whole, because over the past couple of years, especially that 2016 graduating class, that was a pretty epic year for Virginia. When you look back, now that the outdoor season is coming, to its climax here, how do you see this season of Virginia track stacking up against some of the past couple of years that have been so spectacular?
Well, it makes my job a lot harder not having the Lyles brothers, Grant Holloway, Kate Murphy, Rachel MacArthur, Wayne Colati, all of them. Freaking Drew Hunter, all of them. This class is actually, top 5 material all time in a lot of events. So it's still really, there's some good stars. Hannah Waller, Shadeja Ballard. The girls' distance sides had so many injuries, like Olivia Beckner was going to be a 4:30 miler this year, and she's at South Lake, coached by Alan Webb's old coach, Scott Rasko, and she ran 4:40 last year as a junior indoors. So it's like you kind of get robbed. Heather Holt was in sub-16 shape for cross country, and has nagging injuries all year. So it's kind of sucked from that standpoint, but it's interesting because you say that. I noticed it, a lot of kids that had no business running the times they would have, had it not been for the Lyles brothers and stuff like that. Like T.C. Williams could win the state team title on a bunch of guys that you would never think were sprinters, because they trained with the greatest ever and they believed they could be that great too. And they're pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So, you kind of see the aftertaste of that. Same thing with Loudon Valley. I mean, they have 10 guys under 10 in the 3,200. I mean, it's legit insane. And it's because they had a guy running 8:40.
Yeah, and some people watch this video might not have seen the news yet, but there's stories up on MileStat via MileSplit.com. But Tidiana Marsh is not going to be competing in the state meet. Can you break down what her plans are and why she's not going to be there this weekend?
She's going to a meet, an international meet down in the Bahamas. I think it's probably because she won some international competition. She was going to win the state meet, most likely. Grace Uboa Cody would have jumped 40-something. She would have had to do something to win it. But, she's on another level, and I think her coaches felt that she was healthy enough to do that move. It stinks for me because, that state record's going to stay in both events. And it's brutal. She had 9 state titles. Just get the 10th and, take the plane down on Saturday. But she's going to be competing for Team NSAF. And I haven't heard back from her coach yet whether she's going to do New Balance or USATF. So still waiting to figure out when she can, jump in the States again.
Right. And so we're going to talk about a lot of stuff here, a lot of what's going on this weekend, get really nitty-gritty in terms of the team titles, everything going on there. But before we dive into that, Nolan, I want to just look at from, maybe a higher national level standpoint. What are some of the bigger performances? We'll start with the girls, regardless of classification, where people all around the country should be dialed in to, the MileStat Twitter and the site. These are some of the top girls that everyone needs to be watching for this weekend.
Probably I would say Britton Wilson, Mills Godwin, she's a 400 specialist, and Corey Carter from Nansen River. You could probably throw in Shadeja Ballard and Hannah Waller in the sprints and hurdles. Corey Carter is going to be running the 300 hurdles. That's the one I'm interested in. JB, I can't repeat what he says to me, but he hates it when I make a bold prediction.
Yeah.
I was like, your girls team's going 133 next year indoors. He's like, man, I hate you. Do not say that. And Corey Carter has run 61 in the 400 hurdles, but I swear she is going to run 57 at Outdoor Nationals. He always plays games, and we'll have her doing squat workouts right before she runs. So states, you finally get to see some of these times with Brandy Johnson, Sierra Richardson. They don't show their true colors until states and nationals. So we'll see that. And then Britt Wilson, she's a killer. I mean, she's going to be going for it in the 400.
And for those girls, are there any state record potential for some of them?
Yeah, the girls' 400 record, it's like 52 high, which is definitely within Britton's wheelhouse, considering she ran that indoors last year.
Yeah.
She's never run under 53.3, I think, is what her best outdoor time is. Corey Carter is going to have to run 40 points for the 300 hurdle record. But, like, I mean, you see these records falling left and right, and, like, it makes you think, like, maybe those records weren't that good. I mean, 4x2 in indoors. Bullis broke it by, like, a second and a half. You're like, all right, I thought that record was legit. Now we're seeing, like, what a real record is. So I think we'll see more girls under 40 in the coming years. I don't think that's necessarily the barrier we thought it once was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially with how early we've seen some of these girls running 40-point this year. It's just pretty crazy, the progression we're seeing. I think maybe more so in the sprints than necessarily distance events, really across the country in terms of the kind of athletes. I think the depth, especially in the sprints and hurdles now, where I think in the past you'd see the Lyles or the All-Stars come through, but now just the sheer volume of athletes who are hitting these times year after year is absolutely insane. And so let's flip over to the boys' side, talk about some of the insane athletes over there. Nolan, who you got your eyes on, people across the country, United States, people they need to be locked in on this weekend?
I think probably the biggest star of the weekend could actually be Emmanuel Waller from EC Glass High School. He is U.S. #1 for 400 hurdles. I think U.S. #1 for 300 hurdles. I'd have to stat check that. And don't at me on that. And he's going to be running the 300 hurdles, probably the 100 hurdles, and then 400. He's going to go to USATF. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see what he tries to do his last time ever running the 300 hurdles. So that'll be fun to see him there. Sam Affolter, also at the 4A state meet, has been running really well. I'm kind of picking the sleeper, his teammate, Colton Bogucki.
Ooh, okay.
It's Bogucki.
Yeah.
Everyone always likes to get that name mixed up. But I think he's going to have one hell of a state meet because he's been that guy. Like, he has had so many bad breaks. He's the same kid that fell twice in the DMR. Not once, twice at 10. And Drew had to split that 4. I mean, thanks to him, we got to see that split. But sure, he's had every major race, he's had something happen. And you can see that he's actually leads the team in the 3200. He has a better time. He's run 8:58. For the 32, and he's also, I think, the better 1K runner than Sam Affolter. So he's kind of like the silent killer on their team. Wish he would grow the afro back, but yeah, he could have a really good meet. And then the bigger schools, 5A, 6A, there'll be some, races like Kurt Powder, who false started in the 60 hurdle semis from Oscar Smith. A lot of college coaches were happy about that because they were recruiting him and they thought he was actually going to probably break Grant Holloway's junior class record. Mm-hmm. So he could run something ridiculous in the 110 hurdles.
All right, and quantify ridiculous. Yeah. What are you talking about? You can't just say ridiculous. Got to give me a time.
What's the national record? I mean, 13.3, 13.4. I mean, something very, very fast. Let's see if I can pull up the state record, because I bet he runs pretty close to that.
Under 13.5?
Let's see what I want to see what Grant Holloway's record, because his coach is Stan Holloway. Just happy birthday, Stan. Stan the man just had his birthday earlier this week. Let's see it. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Boys, 110, state record in Virginia. Oh, okay. 13.37 by Grant Holloway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and two all-time is 13.50. So I'd say he goes under 13.50.
All right. That's a big prediction right there.
Yeah, he's going to hate me for telling him that. They don't want to know their secrets until national.
There we go, 13.50 or bust. I love it. So now let's talk about some teams a little bit. Certainly a big topic going into this weekend is going to be Western Branch, trying to send things off for Coach Dukes on a good note. There's a lot of previews up on va.milesplit.com that everyone can check out. We know the girls virtually a lock right now, and so the perfect send-off, of course, is that sweep. The boys' side a little more contentious. What needs to go right for the Western Branch boys team so they can pull off that team title?
Well, they already got a blessing in disguise. Oscar Smith, the team that probably would have won, one of their number 2 guy is just banged up, and he's not going to be at the state meet, and that's going to really cost them. He was defending champion in the 300 hurdles, and he was that second punch in the 110 hurdles that they could have really done something special. Girls, by the way, side note, the girls are slated to score 42 points in the 2 hurdle events. The next best team is slated to score 39 in the entire meet. So, I mean, it's going to be like a 2014 classic where they win by 100-something points.
Yeah.
But the boys won it indoors, right? They did not win a single event. They could do the same in outdoors and not win a single event. Maybe not even place second in any event and still win. They just have really good depth across the board.
Yeah.
So Chase Osborne and Andre Jordan, their 2 distance stars, are going to need to get like second and third in the 16, 32, 800. They're going to really need to pick up those points here and there. The relay depth will be key for Branch. And then, they're going to, they always find some freaking points and some random event. Like their shot put guy will throw a 5-foot PR and get them 10 points. And you're like, where did this guy come from? And they, every year, not to jinx it, but even at nationals, the Branch boys always over. Not going to say anything about the girls team, but the boys team, everyone knows. They just somehow find another gear.
Yeah. So who were the top contenders for them on the team title that are they're going to be potentially pushing them for it?
TC Williams, remember the Titans. They're led by Ibrahim Bingura, who leads the state in the 1 and 2, I believe. But that's why, it's going to come down to that 100-meter dash. And then you got Kai Cole, another guy for him. Lake Braddock is distance heavy, obviously, and they are going to be picking up points in a lot of places. And then Battlefield will be right up there as well.
So that's going to be really exciting. Of course, everyone on the internet, you can follow MileStat on Twitter, on Facebook, va.milesplit.com. Nolan, what kind of coverage you guys going to have out there this weekend?
So we're able to do video first day. We'll have video, I believe, at all 3 venues for 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, and 5A, 6A. They're all kind of held together.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have highlights reel of everything for both day 1 and 2. We'll have photographers at all 3 venues, probably 15 to 20,000 photos from the weekend, and then live updates at 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A. Brandon Miles,
All right, make sure everyone stays locked in there. We've talked about some of the big names, but how about maybe some of the lower classifications? There's other athletes that maybe the national audience hasn't heard of yet, but they really should be keeping an eye on to some underdogs for some big performances here.
Mary Caroline Heinen probably comes to mind first. She's Maggie Walker, sophomore? Yeah, sophomore.
Don't sound so confident there.
I know, right? I can never remember because I kept calling her a freshman, and they were like, no, she's a sophomore. And I was like, was that last year, this year? But she's run 10:40 for the 32, and it's a pretty damn good time.
Yeah.
And she's 4:51, I think, number 14 all time in the 1600. So she's in 2A. Her school has, get this, I think 350 kids in the city of Richmond. It has 150 kids on their track team. I mean, that participation rate is great.
That's
if we
awesome.
could only get that in other schools. So, yeah, she's probably the biggest small school star. There's a kid out of Auburn in 1A, not Auburn, but Auburn from Reiner, Virginia, way south of Blacksburg. And he runs 9:08, I believe, for the 32, Nolan Harris. And he's, I think, statistically the fastest 1A runner ever. He's 15 flat for cross country, so he should win a lot of distance races, and it should be good to see him there too.
Yeah, and for the team competition, correct me if I'm wrong, Western Branch is in 6A?
Yeah, big old 6A.
Yeah, so let's start just moving down the ladder here, 5A. What are you looking at as the big matchups in that 5A class?
Girls is going to be an onslaught in that 5A girls. Nansen River, they are salty about like having to move to 4A, so they're just going to prove a point that they should be in 5A. They'll tie that up within the first like hour of the meet. And then the 5A boys, it's going to be a really interesting battle. You got Elsie Bird, who won in indoors. They still lead in the virtual meet coming for outdoors, but then you got Atlee, Highland Springs, Nansen River may not be as good as they thought they were going to be, and a couple of Potomac Senior. And these guys go like across the events. Like each of these teams has guys in almost every event. So it's going to be kind of a onslaught by numbers, not just by 2 or 3 guys. So it should be really interesting for that competition.
Yeah, we've seen. I think some of the coming from indoor, we've seen some of those star sprinters, some other teams, especially the Potomac guys, made some noise during the indoor season. Some injuries kind of took them out a little bit later on. But what do you think we might see from times in those guys in the sprints or the relays?
The sprints, I really think the main events will be the hurdles, because I think everyone's kind of slowly done the Western branch model. Like, hey, let's focus on the jumps and the hurdles. And because you get that freak of nature like a Noah Lyles, so you ain't going to beat them. Like, there ain't no point going in that race. So it's weird. Like the 100 and 200 are fast, but they're not like, barn burners. The hurdles, Daquan Faircloth from Nansen River, you got Aaron Lewis, and then you got quite a few others that are right in there, especially with Highland Springs. They got like 2 or 3 guys that are going to be right up for it. So it'll be a really tough one. The 300 hurdles may be the toughest one to win, and maybe the fastest. So, yeah.
Nice. All right, moving down to 4A. Individuals, teams, who are we on the lookout for in that 4A class?
4A girls, I believe it's going to be Deep Creek from the 757 coming out there. They're going to have, their girls are going to run like the 1, 2, 4 long jump, triple jump, high jump. Like they're going to be doing, because Virginia doesn't have, they tried to pass the rule this year, but we're one of the few states that doesn't abide by the NFHS rule. So our athletes have 3 running event limit. That's the only limit. So they don't have a 4 event limit. So you get, like when we get down to 1A, 2A, I'll tell you about some of those people. But, they're going to have people in all those events. And then for boys, Loudon Valley. I mean, they're just going to count their minutes until the 3,200, where they can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Star-wise, Sam Affolter's there. You got Cole Beck in the 100, 200 for Blacksburg. There's going to be quite a few good stars in both races. Emmanuel Waller, Theo Woods. He's the one guy that can beat Loudon Valley in anything, so he'll probably save it for the 8. But it should be pretty good across the board in both the boys and girls for 4A.
Do you see any team with the potential to challenge Loudon Valley, or is their depth just too much to overcome in distance events?
I mean, we don't allow all-star teams yet in Virginia, so I don't think we're going to see it this year. Next year, I mean, probably, but EC Glass, like any other year, EC Glass would be like the team to beat, because they got an 800 guy that can win the 800, get second in the 16, and then you got a hurdler that will probably win the 110, the 300 hurdles, and can place in the 400, and then they got good relays too. So I mean, it's like the perfect storm. That's just going to be really hard to beat them.
Yeah. All right, let's move down one more. Then moving down, what do you got next?
3A, the boys and girls team, I'm picking Phoebus to win both. Kind of, a contentious pick considering they're like seated 4th and 5th. But their coach Dion was telling me that like he hasn't been running his guys in the events that they're going to run in. He's kind of saving them for it.
Yeah. So
they're going to benefit from the added hurdle race. They're a team that also focuses on the hurdle double. So they only had the 55 hurdles indoors. Now they get the 110 and 300, so they should be good. Their girls team's led by Janelle Saunders, who is a multi-event national champion, national champion for AAU. So she's a beast. she's going to be doing the high jump, long jump, both hurdles, probably a relay, something like that. So it's going to be a lot of events. And Western Albemarle, their biggest threat, isn't at 100% right now. So that's going to really cost them in the distance events. And Isaac Alderfer will probably be one of the bigger stars. He's a Broadway athlete who's probably close to a 150 flat for the 800.
Wow. Do you think then that coming out of that smaller division, we could potentially see the fastest 800 of the weekend?
It'd depend on what other races he does. If he does the 16, then it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
He'll definitely have, I would think, probably the fastest split out of anyone when it comes to the 4x8. But I don't know. There's a lot of good 800 runners, and it's a lot of guys in Virginia in that 152 to 150 range.
Right.
So I don't know if we'll get a sub 150, but we had like 5 guys under 230 in the 1,000. So it's like a lot of guys flirting with that should be able to do that.
Does he have many guys who can push him in that 3A division, or is it going to be a fairly solo effort if he wants to go 150?
If he wants to go 150, it's going to be solo effort. But, the 1632 got Carl Thiessen and a couple other guys that are going to be right there. Cave Spring has a bunch of guys that are really solid distance runners. So there'll be a lot of good guys in there, but I don't know if there's going to be one guy that's going to, be able to push them late in the race.
Yeah. All right, 2A. What do you got for me in that 2A division? What do I need to watch for?
Maggie Walker. They're going to win both, considering they haven't lost one yet. So we moved to, I think this is like 5 years, 6 classifications, and I don't think Maggie Walker has ever lost 2A comp. So they're the team that I was saying that had 156 on their team.
Yeah.
They're another level. They actually had pole vaulters. A couple years ago, the state had a bunch of 80s that wanted to get rid of the pole vault for small schools because they were the only school with pole vault.
Yeah.
So they had the top 7 places, and then it was like the meet was over. But there's a couple teams coming up on them, but like they're going to run away with it. Star-wise, Mary Caroline Heinen was one I was talking about. Then there's this girl, Emily Miller, from Wilson Memorial. She will single-handedly get second place as a team, and she's going to probably run, the 100 hurdles. She's a 14 flat girl, so she's legit.
Yeah.
Long jump, high jump, pole vault. She'll probably win the pole vault. I'm sure they'll probably put her in shot put. I mean, she's going to be in probably 5, if not 6 field events, and then 3 running events. So she's the perfect embodiment of why they have that rule to allow small school athletes a chance at the state meet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, final here we go. 1A, who are the top athletes to watch?
1A, Nolan Harris, definitely one of the top athletes to watch. You got a couple girl distance runners that'll be up there, but national-wise, Nolan Harris is the only one that reaches that level. Team-wise, Auburn, boys and girls are going to be contending for it. Patrick Henry, Glade Spring will also be up there. So it'll be an interesting team battle. I think like every year 1A comes down to like a half a point or a tie break. So somehow it always comes down close no matter who is, in the driver's seat. So
1A doesn't have that same dynamic of one team dominating like the 2A division does.
No. They haven't had Auburn had their coach stepped down recently, but she was, really, really, Coach Daniels was building that into a powerhouse that they could contend with at least 3 and 4A schools.
Yeah.
Maybe not the 5A, 6A on a year in, year out basis, but they've, I think, did a 3-peat in cross country for their boys. Their girls have been runner up like 3 or 4 years in a row. So it's like their distance is their bread and butter. They have a couple of good sprinters thrown in there, but this may be the end of that dynasty for them, but anything close to what Maggie Walker's done in 2A.
Right. And we talked a little bit about that 800 from a lower class potentially being as good as the others. Are there any other events or athletes where you could see athlete from a smaller school potentially posting the fastest time of the weekend, even including some of the bigger programs?
Nothing below, aside from that 800, nothing really below 4A that you'll see come close. And that's not always the case. There's a lot of years there's like a random triple jumper or rower that's coming from the smaller classification, but it's really hard to outbeat some of that 7.57 speed. I mean, it's pretty good down there.
And let's just talk about, from where you're coming at personally. I know you're covering everything from Virginia, but just as a fan, for those going out, watching this weekend, you yourself just enjoying the meet, what are some of the races you're just the most excited just to watch?
Well, I'm super salty that Britton Wilson and Corey Carter are not racing each other, because for the longest time, Nansen River would beat Britton in every race. And it was exciting because you knew Britton wanted that state title, and she would always get the one up at nationals. Mm-hmm. But they're not even racing in the same event. So that would have been hands down my favorite. It'd be interesting in the 200 for 6'8" girls. You got Natasha Ballard, Shadeja Ballard, and then Hannah Waller. Mm-hmm. And Hannah Waller was the first girl ever to come down to the 7.57 and win a state title in a sprint event. I mean, they protected that facility like no other for 15 years. No girl from outside of the 7.57 would come in and win the 55 or 3, and she came in and swept both. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see what those three do, because Natasha Ballard just beat her sister's freshman state record, running 23.97 or 23.87, something like that. Mm-hmm. And she's a killer. They're both killers. So it'd be interesting when you have a junior, a sophomore, and a freshman racing in that. Trying to think of any distance races that I'm waiting for. There's a couple relays and stuff. The state meets will come down to a lot of relays and a couple of them. My main thing that I really like to see is the athletes that have never won a state title win a state title. Yeah. And that's always really emotional and really cool to see. Like Henrik Anderson from Mountain View, when he was a sophomore, he was leading the 4x8 for his team, and he collapsed 30 meters from the line, just tripped on him. Yeah. And I mean, it was brutal. And the kid pushed himself so hard to try and win one, and he always just that shy of it. But indoors, he won that 1K. And I almost started crying. I was so excited for him, because I saw him. I've known him from camp, and you get to know these kids. And he was crying instantaneously once he crossed the line. He was like, "Oh my God!" He just bawling, crying. So it's always awesome to see kids like that, that have never won a state title, that were close to it, especially the seniors. So it's more exciting to see kids that are happy to win it than, someone that's all right, cool, another one.
Yeah, absolutely. And any final words from you before we sign off here? Virginia State Meet, where should people, let us make sure everyone knows where to follow you. Any final words of wisdom, why Virginia, best state in the country? Or maybe not, just saying.
Well, California's pretty good, but, Florida and Texas, nothing on Virginia historically. I love JoJo. Her piece on the decathlon. Yeah. I'm going to be pushing for the girls to have decathlon. We don't even have multis for guys. Forget it. We're going to start with bringing in the decathlon for girls. So it should be exciting. We'll be live all weekend on Twitter. Just follow us along at milestat.com. It's spelled milestat.com. We'll have interviews, highlight reels, stuff like that. We'll have results posted live. So it should be, a really, really good state meet. Maybe Texas and them can take notice about having a wind instrument at your meet.
Yeah.
And running the wind legal times.
Yeah. Texas, they got to catch up to the 21st century here.
Hey, but I'll give it to Jasmine. Jasmine, all right, we ain't going to touch that in the triple jump. Everything else, we got you. We got you. And so, minus a couple girls in Florida in the 100, 200. Aside from them, we'll be there.
Yeah, they're all right. Brianna Williams, Samaya Davis, they're okay.
Decent.
They're okay. Awesome. Nolan, thank you so much for joining me today. Appreciate you taking some time. Best of luck to you out at the state meet this weekend.
Thanks, man.